The following brands have in one way or another contributed to this video. In this video, everything you wanted to know about Eventide PowerMAX, isolated power supply for guitar effects. What's its price and where to get it? What's inside of the box? We'll take a look at the features, check the weight and size, take it apart, see it in action, and test outlets isolation, maximum load, and the noise level. And it's all coming up right now. Hello everyone, my name is Max. You might have watched my video on 45 9V adapters for guitar pedals, and today I'm gonna put this Eventide PowerMAX from Cioks through the same test procedure, and we'll also take a very close look at this unit. Essentially, PowerMAX is the same thing as Cioks DC-7, but without 24V output. It has 7 isolated outputs with switchable voltage, high current, good for digital pedals, a USB outlet, and because it is a switch-in-mode power supply, it can take any input voltage. Ultra-low noise, we'll check that later in this video. The price on PowerMAX is going to be different depending on where you are in the world, but no worries, I have already found the best solutions for you. I'll give you all the links in the description to this video. And even if you don't need a power supply, I will still appreciate you clicking on some of those links, because they have some built-in magic, and every time they are clicked, it brings happiness and joy to this channel. It is the unboxing time. For some reason it says I have the US version, even though I'm in Europe. We'll find out about that very soon. In the box you'll find the cable guide. It will tell you everything about these color-coded cables which come with PowerMAX. And this is not a postcard, even though it looks like one. It is a drilling template, for the case if you decide to fix this power supply to a pedal board with screws. Next, there is a manual, and it is a very detailed one for a power supply. And these are the color-coded flex cables I've mentioned earlier. There are supposed to be 13 of them, 5 of which have standard plugs, and the others are for different special cases. Standard cables are the black ones. You'll find the full list at the official website. And here is a power lead with the US plug, which I believe is the only local difference. No problem, it will totally work with my universal power strip. And there is one more thing in this part of the box, a couple of mounting screws and a wrench. And finally, here's the unit. Oh, and the cat is not included, by the way. And here's the close-up. This unit has 7 isolated outputs. Each of them can be set to 9, 12, 15 or 18 volts using these micro switches, and notice that every voltage has its corresponding amperage, which are different. Each output also has a status LED, and there's a master status LED right here, and the load meter with 3 LEDs here. On the left side there is a mains input and 3 outputs, and because this is a switch-in-mode power supply, it can take anything from 90 to 265 volts, so it will work worldwide, no matter where you are, United States, Europe, Japan, doesn't matter. On the other side, there are 4 more outputs for pedals and the USB output. The USB output provides 1 amp. You'll also find 2 mounting holes on the side and 3 more on the bottom. This should allow fixing this power supply to any pedal board. You might have noticed that instead of the standard 5.5mm power plugs that any other power supply has, PowerMAX is equipped with these RCA plugs. And I kinda get the idea. I've read the story behind it online and in the manual, but I'm still not 100% convinced these plugs are justified, because it feels a lot like the Apple's ideology, like let's make our product incompatible with everybody else's and with the industry standard, which is not a very user-friendly move. If you, just like me, have tons of different cables and adapters with standard power plugs, I have bad news for you. These are going to be absolutely useless with PowerMAX, because the manufacturer forces you to use their own cables. I have to say, though, that a good amount of these comes together with the unit. You'll find them in the box. Speaking of the weight, it is a little less than 500 grams, or this much in pounds, which is 1 pound. And if you want the exact dimensions, here you go. And this may actually be a better reference. Here is how it compares to different guitar pedals. As you know, on this channel I take things apart, and it's time for the PowerMAX to join the club. But I have to tell you, don't try this at home. Not only this will void the warranty, but it may also be dangerous. And this is how you take it apart. Cioks DC-7. Well, unfortunately none of my tools could help me remove these screws, so here is all I have for you this time. I wonder if PowerMAX is going to be enough to power my monster board. There is only one way to find out. Done! Every pedal is powered except of this one, which is still a lot. Now let's check if it still sounds right. Yeah, it sounds absolutely right, and even though some of these pedals share the same outputs of PowerMAX, there is no additional noise or any other problems. I'm really impressed. I couldn't imagine I could power the whole board just with this thing. And look at the load meter. It's below 40%. How cool is that? PowerMAX has 7 isolated outputs, but are they truly isolated? Let's find out. If outputs are isolated, there will be no current flow between them, or in other words, the resistance will not be zero, as it is right now. Yeah, looks good. And here is what it looks like when outputs are not isolated. Zero. In fact, they are wired together internally. To be absolutely sure, I'll run a test with Relay G70, which is usually very picky about what it is connected to. This is an isolated power supply, but still, every time this LED goes on and off, you can hear it. Now let's swap the power supply. That annoying sound is now gone, which shows us once again that these outputs are truly isolated. The next test will show whether PowerMAX is able to carry the load it is rated for. We'll be using 12-volt pedals, and at 12 volts is going to be 500 by 7, which is 3500 milliamps. Now, to make it transparent for you, I'll go and measure power consumption for each of these pedals. We'll put it together, and hopefully in total we'll have 3500 milliamps or more. 430 milliamps for Two Notes Lick Clean, which is a 2 preamp, 460 milliamps for its brother Lick Crunch, 440 for Lil Lead, 470 milliamps for the Squid Rocket, which is a tube overdrive from LXZ, 450 for the Admiral, which is another tube drive, 480 for the Devastator, 50 milliamps for the Capzone LE, which is an impulse response based cabinet simulator. And here's another one, Iron Cap with 120 milliamps, and here's the Torpedo Cap amp from Two Notes with 130 milliamps. And this is my load box for power supplies, which I will set to 500 milliamps. The total is slightly over 3500 milliamps, which is perfect. Now let's put it all together. Okay, we're good to go. Let's plug this in and see what happens. Okay, everything works. All 3 LEDs are lit, which means it's working at its maximum capacity. But let's try one more thing. Let's see if it will still be able to charge my phone at the same time. Yeah, my phone is charging. Okay, but it's kind of... You see this? It means the power supply is overloaded. And it's kind of getting really hot real quick, so I wouldn't recommend running it under this amount of load for extended periods of time without proper ventilation. Well done! It runs smoothly under 3500 milliamps, which is supposed to be its maximum capacity. If you think all power supplies sound the same, just check these out. Let's swap the power supply. Here's what it's supposed to sound like. It is time for the most interesting part. Let's check the noise level for this thing. You have already seen this set of tools in my video on 45 9V adapters, but a couple of things have changed. I'm now using Isotope Inside for the frequency analysis and Isotope Ozone for level meters, and thanks to Isotope for these amazing plugins. I also have a new audio interface, which is Audion Sono, and because of that I had to recalibrate my whole system to make sure that the numbers are correct. So before we get to the PowerMAX, let's check a couple of other power supplies, first of all to get a feeling about how noisy it may get, and second, to make sure the noise level readings are correct. And the actual numbers we'll find in the PDF file from my 45 9V adapters video. I'll give you a link to the file and the video in the description and somewhere there. Okay, let's go. So this is going to be the first one. Okay, so the noise level has to be somewhere around minus 27 dBs. Yeah, about minus 27 dBs, that is correct. Without load. With load? Yeah, minus 26.2 it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's about right. And now we go up to 400. Yeah, that's about right. Minus 24.6. Exactly. I hope you can actually hear anything, but let me just make it a little bit louder for you for a sec. Here's what it sounds like. Next one. There's gonna be another transformer-based power supply from line 6 this time. Minus 27.1. Yeah, that's correct. With load, 13.8. That's exactly right. And now we go up to 200 milliamps. Oh yeah. It's supposed to be minus 8.3, but that's close enough. Next. And here's a switching adapter from Boss. Okay. It's pretty close. With load. Yeah, that's kind of close. Okay, and now we go up to 500. Yep, minus 6, that is about right. And by the way, I'm looking at the peak numbers on the top of the meter. And here's the last one, the one that is not meant for pedals, but you will find plenty of adapters like this in music stores around the world. It really is this noisy. Yay! There's nothing wrong with it, it is what it is. Now I go up to 600 milliamps. Minus 13. Yeah, that's consistent with the numbers from the PDF file. So let's go to the PowerMAX now. I've set different voltages for the first 4 outlets. We'll get 9, 12, 15 and 18 volts. Okay, let's turn it on. No load just yet. And we're at minus 24.1. Very good. Let's give it some load. That is 80 milliamps. And we're still at minus 24, 23, 24. Which is cool. I will go up to 660 milliamps, which is supposed to be its limit. Just look at the frequency analysis system, and I'll go slowly such as you can see what's going on. Look at how constant it is from bottom to the top. Nothing really changes. Like, there is a little bit of noise, but it's so quiet. Okay, we're at 660 milliamps now. And the noise level is still at minus 22.8, which is ridiculously low. And look at the spectrum, it's still the same as it was down here. I've never seen power supply this stable through its working range. So now let's try to overload this outlet and see how far we can actually push it. 800, still going well. 860 milliamps. It still works, so you can see that it still gives us 9 volts, but it's not happy about that, so that's the limit for 9 volt outlets. Okay, let's go down and switch over to 12 volts. That's the noise we're getting without load. With load, still the same, so I'll just go up to 500. And look at the spectrum. It's ridiculously stable. I've never seen anything like this before. This makes me just happy. Okay, it's tiny bit noisier than before, but maybe just 1 or 2 dBs. We're at about minus 20.4 now. Let's try to overload this 12 volt outlet and see how far we can push it. Okay, that was sooner than I thought it would be. 620 milliamps, still going strong. 630, that is the limit. We're still getting almost 12 volts here, but the LED is gone, which means the power supply is not happy with that. Let's go down and switch over to 15 volts. No load would give us almost the same readings, yeah, minus 21, 22 dBs. With load, we're now at 140 milliamps. 400 milliamps. Wait, what? Okay, I'm too far, okay. $400 milliamps. The noise level is at minus 19 dBs. And let's push this one. I think it will go off at about 500. Okay, 520. Yep, 530. It died. Yeah. So that's the limit for the 15 volts outlet. And the final one, the last one, which is 18 volts, minus 18, with load, 17, 16, 17. Okay, now we can go up to 330. Okay, 330, and we're now at minus the same, 15 dBs. Okay, let's push this one and see how far we can go with it. I think it will stop working at about 400, maybe 10. Now at 430, it stops producing the noise. It still gives us 18 volts, but it's overloaded, so that's the limit. Altogether, incredible performance. We've almost reached the end of the video, and here's a recap. If you've made it this far, please leave avocado of glory in the comments, just for fun. As for the specs, I don't have much to add to what's already on the screen. To pros and cons. Well, this power supply has many great features. Like the USB outlet, for example, is something I really need on my pedalboard. But the best things are, of course, low noise and input and output voltage flexibility. PowerMAX is not cheap, but it really is a high-quality professional power supply. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, hit that subscribe button right there, and don't forget about the bell button to get notifications every time I'm posting a new video. A special thanks goes to people in the list below. Those are my patrons. If you want to say thanks, hit the button on the left and join the list. Well, that's it for now. Have a good day, and I'll see you soon.